Twins can't even beat Miami. They drop another game in the wild card standings, breaking it all down next on the Locked On Twins postcast.
You are Locked On Twins postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. Got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man. Sweet Lou Hennessey. Give him a follow on X, at Sweet Lou MN, Twins expert over at ZoneCoverageMN.com. Sweet Lou, before we jump into all the action from tonight's game, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. All right, game one versus Miami, last homestand of the year, do or die time. On the outside, kind of looking in now. You got Bailey over on the mound tonight, though, so maybe he can turn the tide for you. 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned, 7 Ks, 2 walks, 89 pitches. So not great, but 4 runs. That shouldn't feel impossible by any means, but it was. 10 runners left on base, 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Twins had 8 hits, forced 3 walks, couldn't score more than 1 run. So no power, no juice, no life. Just another backbreaker, another gut punch. They lose to Miami 4-1, a team that had won 3 of their last 13, by the way, when I talk about Miami. So I don't know, man. I think I asked you last week, are we supposed to laugh? Are we supposed to cry? What are we supposed to do? Give us your biggest takeaways, kind of your 8 topics.
I don't know. I think you got to look on the bright side. I think they lead the league in infield pop-ups in foul territory. That's got to be good for something.
You get a trophy for that, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think they got a big red meter on Baseball Savant for that. No, just a absolutely grim and a dire situation that the Twins find themselves in right now, and it's been just a snowball going down this hill for 2 months now. You know, we're getting to that point, and it's just got to be so frustrating for all the fans that showed up for this game. So many ideal conditions for the Twins, after an off day coming against an opponent who's only, 132 games out of first place, coming home. You have one of your best pitchers going, a rested bullpen, and nothing. And it's just the same story over and over again.
Yeah, it's almost unwatchable for some fans out there venting, and it's become almost sad to kind of watch. So Detroit wins tonight, Kansas City wins in extras. Twins obviously lose. They're 2 games back now, but you still got the tiebreaker versus both of them. It's not like you need to leapfrog both of them either. You only need to catch up to one of these guys. So I'm just looking at the schedules. Detroit gets the White Sox next, so obviously that's not great. Kansas City, though, 2 more with Washington, 3 with Atlanta. So is this still a chip sharing a chance scenario we're in here, or when you can't even beat Miami, is that when you finally, I don't know, kind of have lost all hope, I guess?
There's always going to be a part in the back of a lot of fans' heads that say, there's the team that we saw from late April through, early August or so. And if they can come around and be that team again, and they can show up tomorrow, but what evidence is there that team is showing up tomorrow? It's all pointing to the contrary, unfortunately. We're seeing some good performance from veteran guys, Buxton, Correa, some better at-bats from Santana, and then just so many growing pains from their young hitters who, are not absolutely, it's seemingly unprepared for some of these at-bats, whether that's, striking out on something middle, or like I said, these lazy pop flies, or just, lazy ground balls. It's not doing it. And whether that's a learning experience or not, it's absolutely dreadful to watch right now, unfortunately.
I think I asked you a week ago, hey, if they don't make the playoffs, where's your blame go 1 through 4? Front office, manager, pitching collapse, or the anemic hitting? Has your answer changed at all over the last week and a half? And if so, what's the ranking system look like after tonight?
After just so many performances like this, to me, a lot of the blame is going on the players right now. Like I said, it's it's understandable. A lot of rookie mistakes or just kind of these young hitters with some unhealthy habits to their at bats and their inability to kind of adjust to the game around them. Hopefully that comes, and that's a common case for so many young players. But at this point, after these kind of performances, I'm putting a lot of the blame on the players, the product on the field right now. After that, there's certainly plenty of talk about ownership and the financial stipulations that they put on this team. Absolutely. But, it's a tricky spot to be in right now.
I mean, they can't hit water if they fell out of a boat right now, but that's almost like too broad. It's too generic. Where are they really, truly struggling at the plate when you look at numbers and analytics, or even just offensively as a whole for that matter? Stolen bases, extra base hits, swing and miss rates. Like, where are they really excelling at underperforming right now?
It feels like they haven't had a home run since the Vietnam War. I gotta say, like it feels like it's just been ages. But I think that's definitely gone down the chute since they. I think August 18th is what a lot of people are kind of calling the turning point. That was game 4 of that Rangers series where things were looking so good. But yeah, it's the just lifelessness in the at-bats is, I think, where they excel the least, we could say.
Looking back to when they started the season, do you think they were already behind the 8 ball or started the season shorthanded to begin with, as far as like established starting pitchers, maybe 1, if not even 2 established bullpen arms? And like, if so, we're talking about ranking the blame system. Isn't that clearly just like a front office thing, like not providing them with the manpower to go out and compete for 162 games, knowing full well there would be injuries you'd go through just like every team does every year?
Sure. I don't know if I would consider them to be behind the 8 ball at the onset of the season.
Okay.
You
felt pretty good. You felt good enough.
Sure.
Right?
Obviously, shedding $30 million from the payroll is not going to help. And that obviously hampered the team, no doubt about it. But also, this front office has never been the kind that's going to go out and dole out $25 million to a relief pitcher. That would, at this point sounds pretty nice. I wish they would, but they have no track record of really doing that with some of these veteran guys that they really need right now. You could say maybe they could have ponied up for Sonny Gray, but he's on the shelf now and had a pretty brutal second half.
And was really spendy too, right?
Yes. Yep. But we've just never seen them invest like that, aside from Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, and Pablo Lopez. Those are kind of the big 3, financial commitments that they've done. And 2 of those, honestly, you could probably consider to be more on the team-friendly side. So I don't know if they were behind the 8 ball necessarily, but like I said, probably didn't help to have to shed over the offseason.
What do they do well right now? Well, like, what can you look in that camera with a straight face and say with supreme confidence they still do this really well right now, like better than most teams out there? The Twins do this well. What is this? What are they good at anymore? Anything?
They look really good. Look really good in their uniform colors. I think it really makes their eyes pop.
Love that.
They're looking good there. But right now, it's so hard to find those positives just because it's a sinking ship.
Yeah, there's not a lot to pick at right now. You're absolutely right. Bailey Ober, 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned, 7 Ks, 2 walks, 89 pitches. One kind of blow-up inning in the second. Outside of that, 4 shutout innings. Still, though, 8 hits. Just like fatigue at this point, just kind of an off night. What'd you see from him tonight?
Yeah, he turned it around a little bit. Like you said, a pretty nightmare second inning, I want to say it was, when they scored those 4 runs. But those runs count. That counts towards his outing, and you could see some really visible frustration from him. He's somebody who you can always kind of tell how he's doing just based off of his body language. When things are going well, he's got a different pace to him, and today he didn't have that. I think I'm going to talk about it a little more when it gets to the nerdy stat with Bailey, but it could be getting to that point where a little bit of fatigue is starting to be at play.
Yeah, no, for sure. That would make sense. Rocco report time, game 1 versus Miami. The Rocco report, it says what?
I guess I'm just grateful in general that Rocco is, and I'm sure it's not just his decision, but at the end of the day, he's writing the names on the starting lineup card, and he's unloading the clip with Buxton and Correa in the lineup. It's kind of like, it's do or die. We need you two. I know you're being held together with, like chewed up bubble gum and like cigarette butts or something, but like we need you out there. We need something. And clearly tonight they had 5 hits between the two of them. Some really stand up, performances. Unfortunately, no one else is rising to the occasion to meet them.
Is Rocco on the hot seat in any way here, just for this epic meltdown, this epic collapse these last 5 weeks? Let me rephrase it. Percentage chance he's not managing this team in 2025. 10%, 5%, 1%. What do you think?
I do think that it's unlikely that he would be dismissed, but crazier things have happened for sure. It's so hard for us to speculate on kind of the ins and outs in a clubhouse like that. It's easy to say, oh, he doesn't have control of the clubhouse when you've literally never been in the clubhouse before. So, but it's, we've seen managers get fired for something a lot less, you know what I mean?
A lot less. Absolutely. Yeah. It feels like he does have a little bit longer of a leash, despite how bad things have really transpired these last 5-6 weeks. I'm with you. Still feels like he's going to be okay and for sure back next year at a minimum. Plenty more deep dive from this one. Got that nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, formula for winning championships. Also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. They got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back with all the parts you need at the prices you want. Easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, game 2 tomorrow versus Miami. Woods Richardson on the mound. You got Festa for game 3. Then Baltimore on the road for your last 3 of the season. Pablo in game 1 for that. Zebby game 2. Bailey again coming back around for game 3. I'm looking at Baltimore right now. They're 6 back from the Yankees. They're 4 up from Detroit in the wild card. So it feels like there is a possibility, maybe a strong possibility, they could be resting some guys by the time you get to game 2 or 3 there, if not even the entire series as a whole. Does that kind of line up with what you're seeing and thinking too?
Yeah, here's to hoping that those games still matter on the Twins end too. But Baltimore, like you said, it's looking right now that the Twins would not have to face Corbin Burns, which is a good place to start. Like you said, it could be that Baltimore is just kind of trying to line themselves up to for that first wild card round, in which case maybe you're not getting the full throttle Baltimore Orioles. At this point, the second-rate Baltimore Orioles seem like they would be a challenge too. So Twins are gonna be underdogs no matter what at this point, just based on the team that they've been the last few weeks here.
When you think about these last 5-6 weeks, right? August 18th, that was the start of the collapse. It just how everything's played out. Is there any part of you that has a big regret about not giving up one of those blue chip premium prospects at the deadline to go get another arm, another solid pitcher, whatever it may be? Or are you glad they didn't mortgage any of the future for both, the short term and the long term? Where were you kind of at?
You got to know the specifics of a deal potentially, but absolutely. Even if the front office was hamstrung and that literally could not take on any salary, go and trade for somebody who's making the minimum. Go out and trade for a pre-arb guy. We have one of the better farm systems in the game right now, with a lot of guys reaching that kind of upper minors. And there's going to be a logjam. We're already starting to see kind of a logjam of long-term pieces in the infield. That absolutely was a chance to go out and make a big swing for something like that. Now, big swings can often come with big misses 100%, but right now, what are we hitting on with what we kept? So I absolutely would have loved to see a bigger trade or more action at the deadline.
Woods Richardson tomorrow. Where is he on the list of Twins that have surprised you the most or surpassed your preseason expectations? Is there anyone higher on the list than Woods Richardson from what we got, big sample size beginning of the season to now?
Yeah, his stock has definitely gone up. No doubt about it. He was probably their, maybe second, third best pitching prospect coming into the
Yeah.
year. Thought that maybe he would be sixth, seventh on the list, as in terms of depth as a starting pitcher. And he's come up in he's about to make like his 27th start or something. And,
Yeah.
As a 24-year-old who has had a pretty interrupted and kind of topsy-turvy minor league career, who knows what we could have gotten from him. And really, he's really solidified that back end of the rotation. And, like some of the other younger pitchers, and even like we saw from Bailey Ober today, he could be starting to hit some of that fatigue point just because it's a career high in his innings pitched. But overall, you got to be really satisfied with what you've seen from him. And here's hoping that he can make one, hopefully 2 more starts at least.
If the season were to end today, who's your Minnesota Twins MVP? And also, glass half empty, who's your most disappointing Minnesota Twin player this year?
Woof. MVP, I think I would probably still give it to Carlos Correa. Even with that time that he missed, it just made it all the more apparent how valuable he is to this team.
True.
And how good he was and how much it went in the tank when he went on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
After that, if you would have asked me this 3 weeks ago, there would have been a few different candidates to come to for other candidates to be, considered MVP. For most disappointing, I think you got to look at someone like Ed Julian, who was so encouraging last year. He was the leadoff hitter in the playoffs for the Twins last year.
Mm-hmm.
His regression was not great. You got to be disappointed with what we've seen from Kyle Farmer, from what we've seen from Manny Margot, some of these kind of mid-tier veterans, non-Carlos Santana veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where I'd put him there.
Yeah. So speaking of Julian, now that got me thinking, who's a guy who maybe underachieved, but you still have really high hopes for, some high expectations for, and maybe you already kind of got pegged for like a big step forward in 2025. Maybe that is Ed Julian. I don't know.
Yeah, here's to hoping. That'd be great if they could get him back on track and get him back to that, high on base machine that he was in his rookie season.
Is there one phrase to summarize the 2024 Twins? The top of your head, what would that be? Mine honestly would be injury plagued, but I don't know. Maybe you got something more creative and clever. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. For some of the guys on this team, at least in the second half, it started, the phrase that comes to mind is maybe freezer burn. It's some of these guys, that young players that still have a ton of promise, but, they've maybe graduated from that prospect status, but they're having trouble getting to that next gear. So maybe a freezer burn, we're seeing that from some of the veterans too. Someone like Max Kepler. I don't know.
Yeah. I like that. Scott Pierce says heartless, no heart at all. Heartless.
That's what it feels like right now.
I don't mind that either. Just give it to me. Nerdy stat of the daytime. You got some sort of crazy stat, fun analytic, Twins related. You said something about Bailey Ober tonight. What do you got?
Yeah, I guess so. Not super fun, but coming into this game, opponents are hitting 128 off of his non-fastball pitches, and that's really good. That's the best in the major leagues. That's something he's excelled at.
Fantastic.
Today, his fastball was down 1 mile per hour, and it led to a few crucial runs in that second inning. That home run was a fastball that he wasn't able to locate. And when you can't locate it and it's down a couple, mile per hour or so, that's a recipe for disaster. And unfortunately, that's what Bailey saw tonight. I really do think that he is also prone to some of this fatigue. He crossed the 175 inning pitch mark tonight. He only had 145 last year. So he's getting to that 15-20% increase, which is usually where teams really try to slow guys down. Unfortunately, it's all hands on deck for the Twins at this point. And that includes the 6'9", hands of Bailey Ober.
Yeah, well said. Good breakdown there. Always a good nerdy stat from Sweet Lou. Don't go anywhere. Got to talk about this playoff picture, not just in the AL Central, but around the MLB as a whole. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season still going on here. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less. Add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay. quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code all lowercase locked on MLB for $50 instantly with any $5 wager. Okay, 5 games left. Season ends on Sunday. Crazy to think about. What's been your favorite storyline across the entire league this year? Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Got to be near the top. That's probably mine. What do you think, though? What other ones maybe near the top or even kind of flown under the radar a little bit for you?
100% it's got to be. It's the year of Shohei. It's awesome.
So fun,
we're witnessing history, and I'm really happy to see it. Other big storylines, I think that if I wasn't a Twins follower or a Twins fan, this AL wildcard race would be really thrilling and really fun to witness, if you're a fan of one of the other teams or even just on the outside of the picture in general. This Detroit team that's like one of our commenters said, super young team and just had an incredible last couple months here and look like a powerhouse at the moment, with juggling spots with Kansas City and the Twins, this Mariners team with a really, really good starting rotation making some late noise too. It would be really fun to watch if we weren't also imploding along with the Twins into their black hole.
Yeah, no kidding. Sean Michael, congrats, by the way. Tigers fan over here. He's just loving life right now, and as he should. Props to him.
Good.
They sold at the deadline and went 38-19 since July 4th.
That too,
Come
unbelievable.
on,
Could you imagine where they would be if they had kept Jack Flaherty and some of these other secondary pieces too? No, you know what? Yeah. Props to the Tigers. Really, really cool for them.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty cool. Was there like one moment or one game or one play that really sticks out to you about the Twin season when you look back? I know these are kind of like season-ending questions, but it just feels like that's the vibe around town. Like a Sports Center top 10 play or one specific game or what? For me, it's probably that 12-game win streak we had. That was probably the peak of the season, I feel like, when we look back. But any just thing that sticks out in a positive light over this 2024 season for the Twins?
Win streak was huge. Like the middle of the season, the summer months were a ton of fun for this team, and it wasn't enough. And I'm not trying to defend them and say that, it's been a successful season, because obviously right now does not look that way. This collapse is massive, and it should not go, it should not be forgotten. But, there were some good play too. Like you said, Jose Miranda's crazy streak where he had like 12 straight hits and 12 at bats. That was a ton of fun. Pablo Lopez had a really good streak too. There's some really encouraging moments. Unfortunately, it just never seemed like they all coincided with each other. You know what I mean? So, it's hard to say this season was a success at this point, but there's some highlights.
Let's just end on a high note here. Playoffs or not? Probably not, but playoffs are not for this team. What's one reason you're still optimistic about the Minnesota Twins in 2025?
I've been encouraged with some signs from their rotation. We can go into next year with a starting five, a comfortable starting five, I would say, kind of penciled in at this point with the guys that you're seeing right now, plus Joe Ryan coming back. Joe Ryan was excellent before he got hurt. So I think the starting rotation depth is going to be something to behold next year. Hopefully that means Louis Varland can go right to the bullpen full time, and where he's looked much better over the last couple of outings. That would fill in a hole for them while still being able to kind of explore that starting rotation depth. Yeah,
no, I like it for sure. Twins lose game 1. They can't even beat Miami. 5 games left. Game 2 tomorrow. Woods Richardson on the mound. First pitch, another 6:40 p.m. start time. Huge shout out to all the everydayers in here in the chat that always make us your first listen. Make sure you go check out all Lou's work on X. Give him a follow at Sweet Lou MN, plus all the work he's always ripping up, putting out over there at zonecoveragemn.com. Anything new as of late? Like to ask you every week or so. Anything new as of late, we can go check out over at zonecoveragemn.com.
I don't have anything coming out this week, but I'm saving it all for the playoffs, baby.
Love it. Love it. Can't wait for those playoffs. That's awesome. Can't wait to go check that out. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm Luke Inman on X, at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.